Okay, so today we're going to focus on 4.4, the age of the common man. The objective for today is that students will be able to explain the social and cultural changes during the period with emphasis on the age of the common man. So we're going to take a look at how did Jackson and the common man change the American system of government? So focusing on how the system of government changed, let's talk about the 1824 election. The 1824 election was between Adams and Jackson. Jackson won the popular vote. Adams won the electoral vote. So here we have Jackson, and here we have Adams. So essentially what we saw happen here was the exact same thing we saw happen with Trump and Hillary. And also Bush versus Gore, where these two won the electoral vote and Hillary and Gore both won the popular vote. And we call this the corrupt bargain. And the reason why we call this corrupt bargain is because Adams and Henry Clay had seemed to work out a deal that where Clay would persuade individuals to support Adams so that Adams eventually became president. So when the 1824 election came around, things changed and voting requirements eased. What happened was the common man could vote, meaning that they did not own land. So if you were a man of good standing and you lived in the country, then you could vote. And Jackson really appealed to the common people. And because he appealed to the common man, Jackson did win the 1824 election. But as soon as Jackson won, he implemented what became known as the spoils system. And the spoils system is where Jackson fired 10% of all federal employees and replaced them with his friends. So obviously that was very controversial. And one way that he changed the federal government is by employing people that would benefit or would benefit from him. Another way that the system changed was new political parties. The first political party was the Whig Party. And these are for the individuals that left Jackson's Democratic Party and supported the American system. A couple important events that you need to be aware of during Jackson's presidency is first, this was the Indian Removal Act. The Indian Removal Act led to the Trail of Tears. Now, we've already talked about the Trail of Tears, but I thought it was important to mention again that this happened during Jackson's presidency. The second was going to be the nullification crisis. And what happened in South Carolina? So South Carolina was upset over tariffs. tariff is a type of tax. And so the South was angry that there were tariffs on certain goods because it made goods more expensive, which impacted South Carolina and South Carolina's economy. So they called the tariffs unconstitutional. And so they wanted to leave the Union. Now, Henry Clay did work out a deal here. Henry Clay did come up with a deal for the tariffs so that the South could still be economically successful, as could the North. But this was important because it showed the beginnings of some of the tensions between the North and the South. So in addition to some of the tensions growing, there was also what we call the Second Great Awakening. And the Second Great Awakening happened in a variety of different movements. So we saw the temperance movement. The temperance movement was the alcohol movement, to get rid of alcohol. Women's suffrage was the women's right to vote. Abolitionist was the anti-slavery. And the textile industry, what we know as Lowell Mill. And those are the Lowell girls that we see right there. And this was important because it started to set up our economy, as well as a whole new social structure of these women going off to work in this mill independently. And that is it.